everybody to Speak, Friend and Question, back again with your host GBHL James. Big massive shout out and thank you to GBHL Tom and Damien, who really took the mantle last week with a super long, almost James-esque Speak, Friend and Question, so thanks for stepping in for that. I'm really sorry everybody else that you were waiting for so long for that episode. I did film it, I had some fantastic guests as well, but unfortunately I wasn't able to get that out despite trying to save the video as well. So we are here for Speak, Friend and Question 136, and it is actually Sunday evening, and I'm doing this now because I wanted to keep on a roll. I've been at a family do all day. I've not had a chance. Been decorating all week, been building cots and baby changing stations and all kinds of fun stuff like that, but I wanted to keep on a roll because I know that we've not been fantastic with our consistency lately. So let's get to it with Speak, Friend and Question. Because it is Sunday, it means that the Great British Hobbit League 2016 is now done and dusted, and spoilers for anybody who's not been on a Great British Hobbit League Facebook page, we do have a champion, and still it's Jay Clare. Congratulations to that man Jay Clare for coming first, Ed Ball for coming second, and our very own channel host Harry Moore coming in at third there. Great work from all of you guys, and a massive shout out to anybody who's attended any Great British Hobbit League event this year. It's, I mean, since I first sort of came in and saw, you know, I remember going to the tournament up in Preston. One of the first videos is a review of that tournament. You know, a handful of people on that Facebook group, handful of people trying to get together and do these tournaments, and look at it now, you know, 2,700 people on that Facebook page, and there's a tournament in the Great British Hobbit League every couple of weeks. It's absolutely incredible. So I wrote a massive speech on the Facebook page. If you're not on there, I do recommend get onto the, not just the GBHL podcast Facebook, but actually type into your Facebook's Great British Hobbit League and go and ask to join the group on there. It's a fantastic place to chat about your hobby. It's not all just about the league. It's become a real kind of hub of international sort of Hobbit SBG talk, really. And what you'll see on there is that there are tournaments, you know, week on week, and not just in the UK either, you know, spreading out across the whole world, really. But I put a massive monologue in there about why you should attend a Great British Hobbit League event in 2017. I mean, there are tons and tons of reasons. The biggest thing I can say is that I know that lots of people, including myself when I first went to a tournament, are very worried about the idea of turning up to a competitive event if they're not a competitive player. The word tournament itself can put people off. Do not be put off. The people that you will meet at these events just blows all of those worries out of the water. Wonderful, friendly, helpful people who share a similar passion to you. And with there being events in all different corners of the country every couple of weeks, there really isn't any excuse to get your toys together, those miniatures that you love and that you spend hours painting, and even if you're not into the gaming side, just being able to put them across the table from somebody else and enjoy that kind of shared passion is a big massive plus. And I guarantee you'll make friends. So big congratulations to the winners of the Great British Hobbit League 2016. Bring on 2017. I went and got the prizes for 2016, and the prizes for 2017 are next to me. Well, they're just up there, and they're absolutely incredible, So I do recommend that you come and get involved in that. Also, a massive shout out to David Reed. The league final was held at Cardiff, and although Jay Clare went on to win the league, he didn't actually win the event. I think Ed actually came last. He came last in that one, got a wooden spoon. But Jay didn't win the event. He lost out to a first-time tournament winner, but it has been a long time coming. A huge congratulations to my friend Antio from Stirling. It's David Reed. So well done, that man. He took a Harad list, if anybody's interested. And a lot of people have asked that question, you know, oh, we've not really seen many Haradrim armies. David Reed has been knocking on the door with that kind of Haradrim force for a little while now. So it's nice to see him finally take one. So well done, buddy. Here's Speak, Friend and Question. Got 25 questions to GBHL Tom and Damien's effort last week. So thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed having the guys on the show. It's always nice seeing different hosts. Always good seeing different people on the show as well. I'm just joined by Gary, the Gondorian, here today. Nobody with me. Obviously, late evening on the Sunday night. But yeah, always really good hearing different opinions and all that. And I know a lot of those questions were fired through to me because I'd filmed such a massive Speak Friend and Question before, because I'd put a huge amount of effort into travelling where I needed to go, to editing it, just to everything to do with that. But I really couldn't stomach sort of having to do the whole thing again. And so although I tried to revive it and make it so that it was publishable, unfortunately I couldn't, so it is a big shame. First question of this one, remember I'm actually doing this off an iPad today, and it does a similar thing that the phones do. It kind of mixes up the order, so I'm not really sure why it does that. So we shall see how we get on. So from the Amafet 13, having answered my boyfriend's question about how you all got into the game, I thought I would point out one thing and ask a question. One thing to be pointed out for Tom, so I know Tom will be watching this, I would never subject anyone to that tosh made in Chelsea ever, because I am awesome. Yeah, I can't stand TV like that. Made in Chelsea, Towie, what's the other one? Jane likes stuff like that. What's the one that she likes? Is it Cheshire Housewives or something like? Oh, it's awful. It's terrible. Luckily, when she puts stuff like that on, it enables me to get on with other things like editing videos and stuff, so I don't have to watch it. So anyway, your question, the Amafet 13, of the Vallejo paints range, which would you recommend I buy from? Game colour or model colour? As someone who doesn't really use Vallejo paints, I have their medium, I have some of their washes, but I use Games Workshop paints. I would have no idea on how to advise you on this. I think the best place for me to direct you is to one of our channel sponsors, Kev Lawrence of Shadow and Flame. If you go and check out the Shadow and Flame Facebook page, send them a message. Kev should be able to give you some advice about which paints that you can use from the Vallejo range. I know that he's a big fan of those. So, sorry I can't answer that. I don't really use those paints. I don't know if that was because maybe one of the guys had talked about Vallejo paints in the last episode. But go check out Shadow and Flame. He's the man to ask when you've got questions about painting. He's certainly helped me an awful lot with mine. So thanks for that, the Amafet 13. Next up we got it's Jind. Hello Jind, hope you're okay. Welcome back, Speak Friend and Question. Absolutely. So questions. Number one, from the new book, what was something that really warmed the cockles of your heart? Mine was the special army bonus rules. Let's start off with that. So things that really warmed my heart. I'd say some of the things that I end up being most excited about, or really warmed my heart as it were some of the little subtle points changes that enabled you to then build thematic lists in certain points. I know it sounds something small, but making Radagast and Eagle 5 points cheaper means that Radagast and Eagle, 3 Eagles, and Guahir comes in at 600 points. And then, you know, with the army bonus rules, as you said there, they get resistance to magic. That's actually feasible. It's not a terrible army. Things like that really warmed my cockles. Also, one thing which excited me a little bit more than maybe it should, I love I love my painted Bayon. I love him. I think he's wonderful. And always an issue was his crushing strength just really didn't cut it. It wasn't great. And I have spent more seconds and minutes than maybe I should have, you know, just doing that whole thing of, you know, strength 10 hit, probably wounding on 3, so rolling a dice 3, roll a dice 5, roll a dice 4, roll a dice 2, point of might, roll a dice 3, roll a dice, and I've done that whole thing to see how many wounds I can get Bayon to cause. I know that it's a dice game, I know it's not always going to be like that, but just I think that probably warmed my cockles a little bit more than it should. So yeah, I think some of the subtle things, interesting that those should come from sort of Radagast Alliance-y things that I'd be excited about. I'm really excited to see Thranduil on the Elk, of course, really excited to see that. This will come out before Good Heroes Part 2 review of There and Back Again from myself and Steve. So we talk about that in depth. So I think you'll be able to see some of the things that really warm my cockles. I think there's some cool stuff in there. Yeah, I think some of the army bonus special rules are reasonably cool. They're not game breaking, but they are useful. So your question 2, Jind, and something that was okay but you thought could have been better. Mine are the Gundabad Berserkers. They look so beefy, and was sad to see strength 4 instead of 5 for their points cost. Well, if you think about it, with a good or bad berserker, they are basically your equivalent of an Urukai berserker, but for the good and the bad list. And they trade out what they've I think 1 less courage and 1 less defense, but then again 2 special rules. Is that right? So I mean, 15 points. I would expect them to be strength 4. I think that the issue is you end up with a creep. You end up with too much of a creep, I think, if you start making lots of things strength 5 and the like. I mean, you know, I'm surprised that some of the dwarves are strength 5, for example, you know. But yeah, things that I thought could have been better. I don't know. I mean, I really like the book. I do really like the book. I guess could have been better. Maybe a way of making it so that Mirkwood Rangers maybe are a little bit better in some way, because they are expensive. I know that you get 100% bows with them, but they are expensive for something which dies so easy. But yeah, things that could have been better. I'm not so sure. There are some things which are really, really good, which are so good that I'm surprised that they're so good. I think the one that stands out to me is the Lake Town Militia special rule. That is just the special rule for Lake Town Militia on the actual unit profile is just so good. It's so good. That's going to be a very tough army to take on next year, I think. And oh, it's reshuffled. It's reshuffled you all. Hang on 2 seconds. Don't know why it's done that. Oh, and final question. For future, would you prefer source book replacements, a single book to rule them all, or 2 books, 1 for good, 1 for evil? Last choice for me, jam-packed with scenarios. Welcome back to Speak Friend Question. Make our Sundays great again. Yeah, we'll try and make it as regular as possibly can. Obviously, very difficult time at the moment. So, I think that I would either like 1 rule book to rule them all, or 1 for good and 1 for evil. I think probably 1 good for 1 for evil. I think that a rule book to rule them all at this point would be huge. I think what's probably most likely in my mind to happen is that you'll get a new rule book, and then you'll get maybe sort of a book for good and a book for evil, so you get end up with 3 books about the same kind of size as There and Back Again, I would imagine, and I imagine the same kind of prices, about £35. That's kind of what I would think. But yeah, maybe 1 good, 1 for evil. I think 1 good, 1 for evil makes sense, especially with sort of travelling around. If you can take that book with you, if you're taking a good army, you probably just want to take 1 book. You don't want to have to take all those evil profiles worth of weight of pages with you. So yeah, thanks for your contribution, Jind, as always, and for supporting this show. Next up, we've got Awesome Wargaming. He's put, once all the new Hobbit releases are finished, are GW looking at revamping the whole SBG, including Lord of the Rings? Absolutely. Or will it just stop there? P.S. I hope I don't sound like a noob, because I've only just come back. Really enjoying the content. Keep it up. Well, we will try our best. So will it just stop there? No. So what is anticipated is Middle-earth strategy battle game, and this is pretty official. Now, some people have been a little bit confused. They saw There and Back Again come out and they thought, well, hang on a minute, we're all talking about Middle-earth strategy battle gaming. This isn't Middle-earth strategy battle gaming. You're absolutely right. There and Back Again is Games Workshop, Forge World Now's opportunity to give the Battle of 5 Armies and Desolation of Smaug the good crack that they never really got a chance to really kind of tie up and finish off that story in a way that they weren't enabled to because of some of the late changes that happened to the movies, and because of difficulties with with license and what they could and what they couldn't do. So Middle-earth strategy battle gaming is coming, and Lord of the Rings armies will be looked at. We've got lots to look forward to. I would expect probably sometime later next year. So thanks for that awesome wargaming, and welcome back. Next up, we've got Callum D. He's put, thanks chaps, with Christmas coming up, I think it's the best time to relax and work on my hobby stuff. Do you guys think a lost built or a list built solely around the ranges of Gondor, led by heroes such as Faramir, Damrod, etc., would work? Do you think there is enough there to work with, or would I need to add some more units like the Warriors of Minas Tirith or such like? Thanks guys, see you next time. Well, immediately I think that your main problem with doing a Ranges of Gondor only list is of course the bow limit. But one way that you can kind of work with that is that you can do sort of a third Rangers, and then you could maybe do things like I don't know, you could upgrade your Minas Tirith to what they called Guards of Ithilien, is that right? So they've got like woodland creature, maybe sculpt some capes on the like. Will it work? You know, just like everything in SBG, there are some lists that seem more optimised and some which aren't, but really it is a game which comes down to the skill of the player. So if you can make it work, you'll make it work. I personally think Gondor is fine in some ways. Obviously at higher points cost, it doesn't have any magic or any magic protection in that sense. You know, Gandalf the White leading Minas Tirith, you know, seems like a bit of a must. And of course Defence 6 hasn't really been all that in the past, because previous metas have included quite a lot of Strength 4, a lot of Isengard, a lot of Morannons and all that kind of stuff. However, the meta has kind of switched a little bit to lots of Strength 3, lots of shooting again in some ways, Elven shooting. But I think Gondor's cool. I think you'd have lots of good fun with it. So Faramir, Damrod, Madril, maybe get some Osgiliath veterans in there for theme, and then get your Rangers of Gondor in, and maybe try and do that scene, you know, where they've sort of moved out of Ithilien and they've gone to try and defend Osgiliath. That would be quite a cool force to see. So good luck with that, Callum. Let us know how you get on with it. So next up we've got Addy N. He's put, in the errata for the Hobbit SBG version 1.2, it states that the latest profiles should be used. Does this include everything in the profile, stats, weaponry, spells, etc.? I understand some profiles might need updates every now and again. Is it not more possible, e.g., to include Elrond, Master in Rivendell profile from the Free People sourcebook? And then that would probably also mean his spell, Wrath of Brunin, is no longer available. Cheers, inexperienced gamer. Oh, well, welcome, buddy. No, so it doesn't actually say. It's if their names are exactly the same. It is okay for there to be multiple profiles for the same character to represent different points on their story. And Elrond is a good example of that. So I think Elrond was one that I wasn't sure whether we would see some kind of combined profile between him in what we saw in Desolation of Smaug and the Battle of Five Armies, with what we saw in The Hobbit in An Unexpected Journey. But of course Unexpected Journey is still a viable book and the rule book for this game. So you've got two, in the Hobbit era, you've got two Elrond profiles, and they don't replace what you get in the Rivendell list in the Free People's book. They don't replace that. Maybe in the future that's something that will happen. Those things will be combined, but unless it specifically states that it is replacing a previous one, that doesn't. I know what you mean. It's if the name is exactly the same. But what usually happens is the profile will have some text after it, which will explain. So, you know, Legolas, Prince of Mirkwood, is Legolas of the Hobbit era, you know, whereas Legolas Greenleaf is Legolas of the Free People's era. One of them gets the option, or one of them comes with armour and gets the option to take Orcrist along with everything else, and the other one doesn't. So no, Elrond doesn't replace your Wrath of the Brunin one. I hope I answered that reasonably clearly. If you're still confused, just ask again next week. But yeah, I hope that helps. Oh, I'm dying for a drink. I really need a drink. I've gone really dry. Okay, next up we have got Infinite Remains. But hey guys, to keep in the loop this week, my question is, who do you think would win? Treebeard, a Great Eagle and an Ent versus the three trolls, William, Tom and Bert. What are your reasons behind your choice? I unfortunately do not own There and Back Again, so don't know about any changes to the Trolls rules. No changes to the Trolls rules. Once again, things that are in an unexpected journey, unless specifically stated, haven't changed, or unless it says that it will replace versions of. So a good example is like Azog and the like, I think. So anyway, regardless, my money is on them, as I think their rules would trump the survivability of Treebeard and the Ents. Keep up the great work. With regards, Alex Hercombe. I think the 3 Trolls would definitely win. They're really good. Number one, they're really good. They've got more might than that force straight away. They've got ways of reducing the fight value of their opponent. One of them's higher fight value. Is he? I'm not too sure. But one of them sneezes on them and halves the fight value. He's going to be focusing on taking Treebeard out, isn't he? With the others. So yeah, I think my money is on the 3 Troll. I think they've got really cool sort of rules and the like, and I think it's all the might. All the mights will help them in that situation. I think the Eagles only got 2 attacks as well, so I think it's actually a little bit of a mismatch. As good as Treebeard is. So thanks for that, Alex. Next up we have got Stephen Bonar. Hello. He's put, alright gents, thanks to you SBG guys for the amazing reading material and wishing me luck for Sterling. 19th of 30 players at my first Lord of the Rings Hobbit GBHL tournament. Congratulations Stephen, that's really, really good. And I'm sure that the SBG team are listening to this as we speak. Really enjoyed reading mine as well. Fantastic, really looking forward to seeing what they do with the next one. So question 1, how much more effective are trackers mounted on wargs? I've never really seen it in the game, to be honest. Evil shooting, orc shooting doesn't tend to be something that you see a lot of. I mean, yeah, it means that you can move a little bit further and still shoot. You know, if you want to do the whole move and shoot thing, it means that you can. I find often one of the best things about having sort of mounted archer units like Rivendell Knights and Rides of Rohan is more your ability to position your shots against, you know, your kind of target priority for your opponent, whilst avoiding the majority of their own ability to sort of get back at that. That's one of the main advantages. But I'm not so sure whether it's worth paying all those points just to get that for some orc trackers. I'm not so sure, but I mean, anything can be viable in this game. Certainly can. Number 2, do heroic marches and an orc drummer stack whilst moving warg riders and trackers? Yeah, I believe so. I believe drums and things stack with heroic marches. Absolutely, I've seen, you know, cataphract drummers and heroic marches fly across the table before. Question number 3, how effective are Morgul Knights led by a mounted Black Numenor Marshal against elves? High Wood and Mirkwood. Smiley face. Morgul Knights are another unit we don't really see a huge number of. They're reasonably expensive. They're cool, they're very, very cool. I mean, their advantages, they've obviously got lances, they've got good defence, and they've got terror. But terror against elves isn't going to do a huge amount, and of course they are lower fight value than elves as well. You know, Black Numenor Marshal is reasonable. But again, I mean, take these as cop-out answers if you wish, but it kind of depends what you're trying to do with them. And I mean, of course, the Mirkwood and Wood Elves are pretty soft anyway, so you don't really need the lances because you're going to be knocking down things, but they're going to be good against higher defence models, so they could do okay against Rivendell Knights. Sorry, not Rivendell Knights, High Elves on foot with shields, because that's a reasonably expensive army as well. They might not be too outnumbered in that, but you know, lower fight value and elves with high courage, really they're going to do well against sort of low courage, strength 3. I mean, elves are strength 3, so they're not going to find it easy to kill the Morgul Knights, I suppose. But yeah, you know, let us know how you get on with that anyway. Thanks for that, Stephen. Next up, you have to excuse me, I'm full of cold as well at the moment. What do you think about the new army bonuses? How do you think they will affect the meta, if at all? And should these bonuses be allowed at tournaments now, or should we wait until the Lord of the Rings era armies get their own bonuses too? So the army bonuses, for those who aren't aware, there are some little perks for taking taking pure lists from there and back again supplement. And they're okay, you know, they're pretty good. They're not game breaking. They're just a nice little lift. I think what we're going to see is that I don't know. I mean, I think that some people will still value the effect of the synergy of bringing in things from different areas to be competitive. I think that people will value that more than some of the rules, but I do hope it encourages some people to take fluffy sort of pure forces, and even just to have something in there that has it as a reward instantly kind of affects, I think, the psyche of the gamer in a way. Who, you know, when you look at army building, that might then become sort of one of the first considerations. But yeah, I think that they're pretty good. I mean, Azog's Legions one's really good. I like the Azog's Hunters one as well. So Azog's Legion basically gives the leader of an Azog's Legion force, gives him Gothmog's Master of Battle rule, which is really good. Again, it's not game breaking, but it's strong, you know what I mean? Azog's Hunters, if they just take them, they can have 50% bows, +1 to the shoot value, and that's effective. That's pretty good. I like that, and it kind of reflects the army a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, we talk about these. That is going to be the third in Steve and I's videos. We've already talked about it. The video is ready to go. We just try and spread them out between the hosts at the moment, so you'll be able to see what we think about the army bonuses there. Will they affect the meta? I think so. I think anything new has an opportunity to affect the meta. I don't think that they are necessarily so strong that all of a sudden you'll just see pure armies. But they're nice, they're good. I mean, it remains to be seen. I think that they're all useful and considered. I do think that they should be, well, they are going to be allowed to be used from now. Anything new with new rules should be allowed to be used, and even if Lord of the Rings era armies aren't getting them yet, tough, we'll just have to wait our turn and hopefully they'll be cool and good. So thank you very much for that, Greenwood. Next up we've got King Boneseye. He's put, I've got Dane mounted done, good man, and I'm starting on his warriors. I can't wait for the new book. Although when this airs, I will have it. Ah, brilliant. So you should have it by now. Brilliant. These Iron Hills are so cool. I can't wait to get them on tabletop. Me neither. I really like them, actually. I'm not really a dwarf kind of player. I've never really been interested in dwarf. I mean, I say that. I really do like the Grimhammer aesthetic, and do have Warriors of Erebor and things along those lines, which I haven't done, but I am looking forward to making an army of Thror, especially with the appendices rules for those, and young Thorin profiles, and young Balin and young Dwalin. I think Thror and Thrain have really been sorted out as well. But yeah, even though I wouldn't have considered myself to be a huge fan of dwarves traditionally, I think in fantasy generally, I don't think, ooh, I want to be a dwarf. And even in Lord of the Rings, as much as I love Gimli, I think I prefer Gimli in some ways in the book, but I've never really thought, oh, I'll choose the dwarf character to be, you know. I will usually choose the human character, or the elf, or something like that, you know what I mean? But I have to say, the Iron Hills, I can't wait to put that army together, so I agree with you. But I'm rather surprised that there are no hobby vlogs of someone doing these amazing models, though maybe by the time you read this, once again, the models are stunning. Well, there are. I think Damien's been putting some up, but what you've got to remember is that we are hobbyists just like you. This isn't our job. They go in the queue when they go in the queue, like everything else. You currently I'm doing a commission for Adam Marcel at Blackfire Productions. That is my #1 priority. I'm just chipping away at that, making sure I'm doing a really good job on it. I want them to be really nice. It's my first time doing anything like that, so I really want to take some time, make them nice. And I've sort of been pottering along with sort of side projects as I've been doing that, so I keep my interest. So Axeman and Lost Ark are ahead of those. There are still some Rohan things which are well ahead of those. I've got some Aragorns that I want to do which are ahead of those. I've got stuff from other systems which are ahead of those. Smaug is ahead of those, really, in my queue. So yeah, I mean, I think Damien's doing a hobby blog, but I mean, again, if you get yourself onto the Great British Hobbit League Facebook page, you're not going to be allowed in because you're American. Everybody's on there. Everybody's on there. You'll see that actually there are loads of whip posts, work in progress for those of you that aren't internet literate. There are lots of whip posts of Iron Hills Dwarves daily. There's some really lovely ones. I think some of my favourites have been Evan Woodruff, our friend from Canada, and the SBGL. His are beautiful. They're some of my favourite ones. So yeah, maybe you will see some hosts doing them soon. Not mine though, not mine. And yes, once again, the models are stunning. They are stunning. They are stunning. Great value as well. Next up we've got Tim Hines. Tim Hines has put, "Hello, I'm starting up a Durin's vote list and saw how Games Workshop has painted them. My question is, do you by no chance know which colour green they use for the Iron Guard and the Khazad Guard? Thanks." I have no idea. I'm just having a look to see if I've got my free peoples around. I'm not so sure, buddy. I can't help you there, I'm afraid. I think is it not a lighter green? Is it like a Lauren Forest? Is it that kind of colour green? Again, that's probably one to chuck elsewhere. We don't really prepare for these questions. We can't do it off the cuff. So I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to help you too well. I'm just looking over at my paint desk though, and from memory, I think it's like a lighter kind of green. It's not really a bright green, it's kind of a light green. So I might go for a Lauren Forest as a base maybe, and build up that way. So good luck with that. I'm sorry I couldn't help you a little bit more. There are painting charts. You could always go through the painting charts online, just Google them. Get your picture of your dwarf next to the painting chart and just look along and see which one looks like it's closest to the base colour. But when you know, let me know as well. Be interesting to know. Next up we've got Pascal Wibb. He's put, "What do you think would be a good counter for Iron Hills Dwarves? I built up a Harad army and some Abrakan with strength 4 and burly, Serpent Riders with same fight value plus lances, and Reavers fight 5 with axes. Do you think it'll work?" Yeah. They're all things that would work quite well against them. I think like anything that's new, I think as soon as I think that people are people, aren't they? People are funny. As soon as people saw that they could be dwarves with spears that are strength 4 and can go to defense 8, and they're effectively they're fearless, they're bodyguarded with Dane. Dane's amazing. People are immediately looking and going, "Wow, these are totally broken." They're going to complete. I mean, they've done well in the tournaments they've been at so far, but I think the main thing that they are really good against is shooting. You're probably not going to whittle that army down easily. It's an army that's built to give elves a hard time, really, from looking at it. But yeah, I think things that you've mentioned there, cavalry. So cavalry's always been great against dwarves. Knocking them down, having 4 cracks to try and wound them is usually pretty good. Lances are great, and +1s to wound are great. But what you're also going to find is that just in the natural kind of smashing the battle, you'll probably realise when you play them for the first few times that actually a lot of it comes down to how good the player is you're playing against, who's got the dwarves, how good are they at making sure that when you back away an inch, if they choose to, that they can still be in base contact with 2 other dwarves. That will be key. That will be key. So yeah, that would be the main thing. I think you've mentioned a few things there already. Things like things that strike against courage as well. You know, I mean they're expensive. So you're not going to get many of those. But that's just a little bit of an example of some of the things that would work directly quite well against them. Heroes with lances, big heroes with lances, chop through them. You know. So yeah, I think your army could work quite well. Next up we've got Patrick Boermeyer. He's put, "Hey fellas, fun to have the Palantir crew on." I agree, it was good fun. I've been out of the loop for a while, but my question this week is, what do you think of my fan edit of The Hobbit? I know you guys like the theatrical releases, but you might like it anyways. It's trimmed down the trilogy to 2 movies to be a better fit to the book, with things like Bard kills Smaug with a bow, no love triangle, no ice skating fights in the Battle of 5 armies, just battling. Here's the link. I'd love to get some feedback from fellow SBGers. I've posted it on the One Ring and the Facebook group. Well, I've not watched this yet, but I will try and remember to make a point of having a look at that when I get some time. Thanks for doing that, and I'll let you know what we think. And I recommend anybody else supports another Hobbit hobbyist and goes and checks that out. So thanks for that, Patrick. Next up we've got Nathan Van Til. He's put, "So now the dream is a reality and There and Back Again is available to players. What do we hope is next for literature? I honestly think that it would be nice to do some profile revisions first, but what do you think?" I think that the next bit of literature, I think, will be a new rulebook. That would be my inkling, new rulebook. And then I think that we'll start to see parts of Lord of the Rings be revisited, absolutely, and hopefully some new models and things for that as well. Thanks for that. Next up is Chris Murphy. My question is, what is the best song sung by Bewitched, inspired by Damien's rendition? I missed that. I'm sure I watched the whole episode. I missed him doing Bewitched. What did Bewitched sing? Do they sing that C'est La Vie? Say you will, say you won't, say you do what I don't. That one. That's the best one. Bewitched are awful. Sorry, Bewitched fans. Next up we've got Stacey Ray Valkyrie. Hey guys, hello from New Zealand. Hello Stacey Ray. Really enjoying watching your videos. Keep up the amazing work. You're very welcome. We'll do our best. My question is regarding Azog and his White Warg. Unfortunately, the hobby over here is rather small, so I've never really had the chance to actually play. Forgive me if this seems like a silly question. There are no silly questions on Speak Friendly Question. Trust me, we've been doing this a long time now. But how would you feel about starting the game with Azog dismounted and the White Warg leading a warband of Felwargs? Looking at its pack master rule and the fact its heroic actions and such only affect Felwargs, do you think having it as a warband leader of a warg pack would be frowned upon? And what are your thoughts on it? Not sure how much it would affect the overall outcome, just a small thing I'm a little confused about and would love to hear your thoughts on. Thank you so much for your time and sorry for the length. Well, do not apologise ever for asking lengthy questions on Speak Friendly Question. Ever, ever, ever. That is the way that this show has ended up being able to survive as long as it has. And to be honest, until pretty recently, be as regular as it had been. So thank you very much for your question. In terms of community in New Zealand, by the way, there are lots and lots and lots of Hobbit hobbyists in New Zealand. So get yourself onto the Great British Hobbit League Facebook page. There's a location finder on there. Get yourself onto the One Ring forum. It's population finder, and just start making posts about, you know, trying to find other people from New Zealand. And I guarantee, I can think of 3 off the top of my head that I know, like names that I know, and I'm pretty sure that if I ask all of our Kiwi friends to comment on Stacey Ray's comment, that you will let her know where and when you guys play your games. I know that they do tournaments as well, perhaps not as regularly as the Great British Hobbit League, but there are still tournaments in New Zealand, so you will find people to play against, I'm sure. In terms of your question, you wouldn't be able to start the game with the White Warg separate from Azog and the White Warg leading, like bringing with them a pack of Felwar. What you would have to do is you could take Azog on the White Warg, and you could bring loads of Fel Wargs, and then you could, and him leading the warband. So one hero has to lead a warband of troop, and the White Warg technically is war gear, whereas an option, rather than something that you can sort of buy and deploy separately to bring a warband. So you would have to buy Azog with the White Warg, leading some Fel Wargs, which would be fine, and then at the start of the game just dismount Azog and you've got what you want. So I hope that helps a smidge. Next up, Andreas, the Norwegian Viking. How's it going, buddy? Lily is great. She thinks Norwegian chocolate is better than Freddo's. I'm not really sure that that Freddo is. I guess it's Cadbury's chocolate, isn't it? I love Cadbury's. Cadbury's dairy milk chocolate is very, very, very good. I enjoyed your Norwegian chocolate. I have to say though, your Kit Kat was basically a Kit Kat. It tasted the same. It tastes the same as a Kit Kat. Not that I am ungrateful at all, of course. You know I'm not. And Lily is great. I'm sure we'll all agree with that. Next up we've got Matt M. Hello. Since I haven't seen the new rulebook yet, I was wondering if there are any changes to any Isengard profiles. A new Lurtz profile perhaps. Are there any changes that would surprise you? Well, point number one, it's not the new rulebook. This is not Middle-earth Strategy Battle Gaming rulebook. This is There and Back Again, which is a wrapping up of the Hobbit trilogy in a way that they were unable to do before, and to really do it justice, to make models and profiles for things that we saw, especially in the extended editions, that we never saw from Games Workshop because they just never saw it themselves. Things like Isengard profiles I would expect to see in the future. I think that Damien alluded to it at some point. Was it in, I can't remember if it was in the Palantir or whether it was in Speak Friend and Question. But yeah, I think that things like Lurtz is probably one that people would say, new profile for Lurtz. And he also mentioned Theoden as well. I agree. People scream out for a Theoden profile that Rohirrim would follow into battle. I think is the key thing. And someone has actually answered you here. From what I know now, there are almost exclusive new rules profiles for Hobbit units. It's a shame. I hope they would fix some small stuff like Captains of Dol Amroth fight and change Screamer a bit, because he's a bit similar anti-Alfred unit, anti-fun unit as Alfred. Well, I would expect, be patient, support your Hobbit hobby, be positive. That's always key as well. Try and be positive and look forward, because Middle-earth Strategy Battle Gaming is happening. I am 99.99999% sure that we will get a new rule book, and I am 99% sure that as long as everything goes well in this next year, they've got until 2020. It's 2017. That's 3 years worth of releases. Lord of the Rings is going to be looked at. There and Back Again has just wrapped up The Hobbit. So what are they going to do between wrapping up The Hobbit and 2020? Well, probably re-looking at Lord of the Rings. So lots to look forward to, guys. Next up we have got Dear Dirt Copenol. I'm sorry if I've just slaughtered your name. I'm looking forward to getting into the game. Welcome. But with this new release stuff going on, I'm a bit uncertain as to what I should buy. Should I still get the Goblin Town starter set, or is there something new coming up? Also, entirely new to everything, so is there a guide or a book out there somewhere that does 1-by-1 tutorials on how to paint models, etc. Shopping list advice as well. Paint, should I just buy all Citadel paint? Brush set, starter set equals good to go. Well, welcome to the hobby, and welcome to wargaming by the sounds of it. Welcome to having empty pockets but smiley faces. So Goblin Town starter set is a very good value way of starting up and getting into the game. You get lots of cool miniatures, lots of cool plastic miniatures, you get the rules, you get some terrain, and you get everything that you need to start to learn to play the game. It is a good box, and it's not going out of date anytime soon. You can still use all of those profiles and everything. I would advise, if you can try and get it from a local gaming store that does a bit of a discount on it. If you really aren't drawn to Goblin Town or Thorin's Company, then you know, have a little look around for what armies you do like. But the little mini rule book that comes with Goblin Town is great, and you can tend to pick them up on eBay and on trading pages reasonably easy. Or you could get, I mean, there was I think it's still on there. Oh no, it won't be, because There and Back Again's out. But the big Hobbit rule book is still relevant at the moment if you want to invest in that. In terms of one-to-one tutorials on how to paint, I would recommend that there are lots of great painting channels out there on YouTube. If you check out our hobby blogs, we tend to talk, I think Damien and I probably talk the most in detail about what we're actually doing in terms of painting techniques and painting colours and you know, things along those lines. I think we do a little bit more of that, although that's not 100% all the time. But if you go on YouTube, you should be able to find lots of painting tutorials, even if they're not for Lord of the Rings miniatures. You know, just try and find a painting tutorial for miniature gaming which covers a colour that you're looking to paint, and then that will help you. And if you ever have any questions, just ask here as well. Citadel paint is fine. I like Citadel paint. Lots of other people like Vallejo paints, but I think Citadel paints are a good place to start, especially if you're getting miniatures from Lord of the Rings. And yep, get yourself some brushes. The brushes that I would advise you get are, get a fine detail brush. A dry brush can be quite handy. A bigger brush for basing, putting your base colours on, like an army brush, is pretty good. You don't really need many more brushes than that, I don't think. Three is probably enough. And obviously get yourself some glue, get some clippers, a file for filing down mould lines and things on plastic. So I hope that helps a little bit. There's lots and lots of resources on YouTube to help you out from that. So look forward to following your progress as you become a Hobbit hobbyist, buddy. Next up we've got Stephen Gill. He's put, has there been a coup? No, there has not. Also, which new rule from There and Back Again do you like best? Which new rule do I like best? I think some of the new Wraith rules are cool. I think they've got some really interesting synergy, and I think they do some stuff which is very different. I like the idea that they're no fate, one wound, and they've got an opportunity to come back. You know, I think that's pretty cool. And the one that does the little teleporting thing, I think that's quite a cool little rule. What other rules do I like from the new stuff? I like. I think a lot of the Lake Town stuff is very, very, very good. Whether I like it or not is another thing. That is going to be one crazy army, I think, from theory, next year, I think. But favourite rules. What are my favourite rules? It's a pretty tough one. I like, not necessarily, not rules as such, but I like the fact that you've got some 2-wound mounts in there. I like the Goat Rider rule. If you've got a War Goat, that on a 5+ when you charge in, you automatically knock the warrior down. I think that's really cool. Actually, that's probably one of my favourites. I think I'd have to research to know the answer to that. I've been so sort of, you know, looking at everything and being wide-eyed and sort of enjoying everything really. But thank you very much, Stephen, for that. Next up we've got Parker Richards. He's put, can Galadriel, Lady of Light, be included in a Lothlorien army? E.g., can she take a Lothlorien warband? I believe Galadriel, Lady of Light, cannot. I believe she cannot. She's not in the Free People's book and therefore can't take a Lothlorien warband. Next up we've got King Bones Eyes, but I wish you could do a speed phoning question with all 6 hosts. That would be neat. That would be long. That would be long. I mean, think how long it takes for me on my own. So when I'm on my own, these videos can go on. Jamie can sometimes counterbalance that a little bit with me. Jamie is probably the quickest because he's willing to sort of say yes, no, I'm not answering that. Yeah, he's willing to do that kind of thing. But with all of us, dude, that would be one lengthy discussion. I think we'd have to pick like a couple of questions to talk about for the course of an hour. But it would be cool for us all to get together actually. Next up, we've got James's miniature space. He's put Damien on Speak Friend and Question is hilarious. Well, Damien is hilarious. A bit like asking your granddad for advice. In a good way, apparently. Oh, Damien doesn't like you anymore. This week's question is, what 3 armies, units, do you think are the most underrated? So armies or units that play well but are rarely seen in tournaments. I'd love to bring something different to the table. And to confirm, last week's question was about best ways to go about allying Durin's Folk and Erebor Iron Hills armies together. Okay, so what 3 armies do I think are the most underrated? We've been asked this question before, and it's a really tough one because we tend to see, I don't know, underrated. What is underrated? What is underrated? That does well, but we don't see too much. Well, we see the things that do well, I suppose. I really find that question really tough. It's been asked so many times, because immediately you start thinking of things that you don't see, but you don't see them because they're not particularly great, and then you do see the things that are alright. I mean, I always thought that a Gondor horde. I thought that more. I think Gondor has the ability to be better than what it is given credit for, and I think that a big reason for that is I think that often the temptation with Gondor is to because they've got some very good elites, and their basic troop isn't amazing, and they've got some very good heroes, is to go very, very elite, or to get your big heroes in and do that kind of thing. And I think that a Gondor horde is reasonably underrated. I often say it. I repeat myself all the time, to be honest, but when Jay Acharya, J22, and I won the Seven Stones doubles event, lots of people were looking at our armies, and I had Ale the Young and Sons of Ale, and people were terrified of that. They were absolutely terrified of that. And yes, of course, that has an impact then on how you win the game. But what was actually winning us the game was the just mass Gondor horde, around just sitting on objectives and not dying. So I think probably Gondor is a bit underrated. I'm really looking forward to putting together my Gondor army and giving it a crack. Although with this Iron Hills army, I think would smash it. I think Iron Hills would smash it. Even my theory, because they'll just chop through it like butter with a strength 4, and they've got all the fight 4, and they've got the defense A, anti-shooting. So I think all of my plans, I think because we'd started to see so much strength 3 and elf and elven shooting in the meta, I thought that it could do quite well. But yeah, I think Gondor's probably a bit underrated. And of course, when I first started the game, probably all mounted Rohan, probably a bit underrated. And I think that I think it's viable at certain points cost now. So yeah. I hope that helps James's miniature space. King Bonsai says, great to see the Palantir guys on Speak Friend and Question. Yeah, always nice when we do the swap overs. I think that the guys have done it once or twice before. Jamie and I have done the Palantir once or twice. Have we done it once? I think I did a teased toast sketch, didn't I? I've done that was good fun, so you could always go and check that out. Jamie and I's Palantir was the one the week before the week before we started getting news that there was going to be a specialist games team in Forge World, and that there was going to be a Middle Earth team. And the week before, we filmed the Palantir, basically saying we think we've seen our last ever releases. So, you know, that's what happens when we're on the Palantir. Everything changes. Next up, we have got Hawken Valhalla. He's put Sorceress, Blast and Hurls are going to be key to defeating Iron's Hills Dwarves. Well, a good Hurl and a good Sorceress Blast can help you crack any army. They really, really can. King Bonsai again, when will you guys get your Iron Hills painted up? I think he's keen to see some Iron Hills. Well, me, not anytime soon. Really far down. I mean, I would love. I might paint Dane. I mean, I might do. They're not too difficult to paint, but I've got so many things ahead of them. So many things ahead of them in the queue. I'm sure you'll see them on the channel and here on Hot Gates Gaming soon. I know that there are a few people that I'm arranging to play and film with, who are keen to get their new Iron Hills out. So you should see them on this channel or Hot Gates Gaming. If you haven't checked out Hot Gates Gaming, I'll always plug it because it's your way of supporting me and my content. Go and check out that channel. It's where I do all of my battle report stuff now. Next up, James's Miniature Space. Second totally random question. Best Middle Earth based expletives? What? I've got no idea. Middle Earth swear words. No idea. If they're not too rude and we can read them out with kids watching, feel free in next week's Speak Friend and Question to put your suggestions for Middle Earth expletives in the comments below. I've got no idea. Next up we've got the... Oh, I've already had that question. And... already had that question. How strange. And... oh, what's gone on here? So my iPad has done some weird stuff. Read that one. So it's being very silly with me. Oh my goodness, everything's on a weird loop. I think that's it. I think that we've done it! Woohoo! So there's a weird situation then where as I was scrolling up, it continued scrolling up but started showing all of the comments that I'd read before, and I scrolled up and it did the same thing again. So anyway, that's it, and look at that. Like a Speak Friend and Question Pro, we are in under an hour. Sorry that it was me on my own, guys. It's always nice when we've got a little bit of banter, but very, very hard to get people around on a Sunday night. Once again, huge congratulations to David Reed for winning his first ever Great British Hobbit League event. Made up for your buddy, well done, down in Cardiff. And also to our Great British Hobbit League 2017 winners. We of course got Jay in first place, Ed Ball in second place, and our very own GBHL Harry Moore in third place. So well done to those guys. And thank you to every single person who's got involved in the Great British Hobbit League and all of its events in 2017. Great place to not just come and test your mettle, as it were, and get outside of your local meta and get better and improve, but also a wonderful place to meet other people who share the same passion and have lots of fun and make some great friends. So looking forward to Speak Friend and Question next week. Who knows who shall be in that episode? Remember to ask your questions. Would be great to see even more there and back questions. If we make it a there and back again special, if I see enough there and back again questions, I will do the Speak Friend and Question with the there and back again journey book companion book, whatever you want to call it, in my hand so that I can give you some informed answers, although I will not be just reading out profiles and the like for you. So guys, don't forget to comment, like, share and subscribe. Support your Hobbit hosts by checking the links in the video description below, like our Facebook page and our Twitter. Support your Hobbit hobby, and happy strategy battle gaming.